Hi BookTube, it's Gina. Happy Wednesday. Today I'm going to be doing my announcement video for Book Trek 2022. Yay! I love Book Trek. So if you're not familiar with this event, it was created by Vin at Revenant Reads. Last year, we did Book Trek 2021 for the first time. Last year, it was a 5-month mission. We took 5 months, August, September, October, November, and December. And each month, we read an iteration of Star Trek. So we did the original series, then we did The Next Generation, then we did Deep Space Nine, then we did Voyager, and then we did Enterprise. And I have to admit, last year I petered off a little bit at the end because I had not yet watched the full series of Enterprise. I'll tell you a little bit more about my Star Trek watching in a minute, but I'm not that familiar with Enterprise, and so by the end I was like, I didn't really know what to read, so I petered off a little bit, which I think may have been the case for a couple of the co-hosts. So this year Vin has shrunk the event down a little bit to 2 months, and we've got the same co-hosts this year. It is myself, Michael K. Vaughn, Steve Donahue, and then of course Vin at Revenant Reads as our fearless leader. So we're breaking it into 2 months. It's a little early, I know, for announcements, but we wanted to start thinking about it a little bit early so that if you want to pick up books or start to plan your TBR, you've got enough time to do that. I don't know, maybe even want to rewatch one of the series. That's what I'm probably going to be doing. And I don't know my TBR yet, but I will, of course, do a TBR probably in next month. I will put together my TBR. And I know a few things I'm going to read already, but let me get into the prompts because of course that makes a difference as to what the TBR is. So, we're going to be starting in August. It's going to be August and September, and August's prompt is The Wrath of Book Trek. And the prompt is to read at least one book, at least one. Of course, you can read more from one of the iterations of Star Trek that we read last year for Book Trek 2021. So any book dealing with any of those 5 series. So I've got a ton of stuff that I can still read because last year was the first year that I had read any Star Trek ever. I had never picked up a Star Trek book, and it was so much fun to do it. If you have never picked up a Star Trek book, I would encourage you, if you're even remotely interested in Star Trek or in sci-fi, they're just a ton of fun. Now, I do love the Star Trek series. I watched the original series as a kid. It was my dad's favorite show, and I remember being very scared of it when I was little. And then my sister and I in the 90s watched The Next Generation, and I have such fond memories of that because that was every night, 10 o'clock, we would sit down. It was our evening routine. We'd watch an episode of Next Generation together 5 nights a week when we were living together, and it was just so much fun. But really, as of sort of when the pandemic hit, those were the only 2 Star Treks I had watched. I had not seen any Voyagers. I had not seen any Deep Space Nines. I had not seen any Enterprise. So it was so much fun. When the pandemic hit, that was not fun. But what was fun was that I realized I had Netflix and I had all these shows that I wanted to watch, so I thought I'm just going to start watching a show from start to finish. And I actually started with MASH. That was the first one I watched. But then I went on to Next Generation, and as I was watching that, I thought it would be really fun to watch them all. So after I finished Next Generation, I went back and I watched the original series. A lot of them I had not seen. So I'm a fairly fair-weathered Star Trek fan. I love it, but I'm not necessarily as steeped in the lore as some of my co-hosts are, which I think is fun. We've got a really broad variety of people and experiences with Star Trek and experiences with the Star Trek books. So you'll get a wide variety of Star Trek information over that 2-month period. And I'm super excited about it. So I think I've got some ideas about what I'm going to read for August. And then for September, the prompt is Strange New Worlds. And that is to read at least one book from an iteration of Star Trek that was not covered last year in Book Trek 2021. Now, this is going to be interesting for me because I am not familiar with most of the new Star Treks. I have not, I've not watched any of them. So the series that are listed here is the Kelvin timeline, which is Abramsverse. So those are the movies where they rebooted them and they've got the young cast. Discovery, PICARD, the Shatnerverse, I love these names, which are books conceived of and co-written by William Shatner. I've not read any of those. New Frontier, Corps of Engineers, Titan, Vanguard. I've not heard of any of those. So this is going to be a little challenging for me because I'm not that familiar with any of those new iterations. And I'm watching what I can get on Netflix and Amazon, but they unfortunately, because now Paramount has their own streaming service, are pulling Star Treks off of the other services and putting them on Paramount. And I'm not sure that I want to have another streaming service, so I'm not sure how much of the new Star Treks I'm going to be able to watch. So I might read one of the PICARD books. I think there's a couple crossover from Next Generation to PICARD books. I'm probably going to do that because even though I haven't watched PICARD, that is the one that I'm going to be most familiar with just because I know the characters a little bit already. So those are the 2 monthly prompts. And there's a fun third prompt. There's a bonus mission. And the bonus mission is, during the 2 months of Book Trek, read a nonfiction science book. Isn't that fun? In the spirit of Trek, we can celebrate and encourage a scientifically literate approach to the world. And so I'm definitely, knock on wood, I'm definitely going to read a science book. I'm not a big nonfiction reader, but I really would like to participate in this prompt. And I did, in my last book haul, I did show a science book that I specifically picked up for this that I may be adding to my TBR, but I'm not sure yet what I'm going to read. So I will definitely be reading at least three books and maybe more, but it's so much fun to shop for Star Trek books. They are everywhere and you can get them for pretty reasonably because lots of people buy them and then get rid of them. So there's lots of fun old vintage paperbacks out there. And I just bought a few comics that are Star Trek themed. I haven't said Star Wars, have I? I just watched the Disneyland Star Wars May the 4th be with you celebration. So I've got Star Wars on my brain and I love Star Wars too. But this event is not Star Wars. This event is Star Trek. And I'm very excited about it. So keep your eyes open for more announcement videos. I will, of course, link Vin's announcement video down below. I will link Steve Donahue and Michael Kelvin, who are co-hosts. And yeah, I hope that you will read along with us. It's a fun month. It's a fun event. And it's a lot of fun reading. Star Trek it's so inspirational to me, and I'm just thinking mostly about what I'm familiar with now. I know there's a lot of controversy about the new Star Treks, and for me, the old Star Treks are all about science making the world a better place, making humanity better, and I think that is a glorious thing to shoot for, and That's what I'm going to be thinking about in August and September as I'm reading these Star Trek books. So I hope you will join us, and I will talk to you later. Bye, BookTube.